Hey everyone, and welcome to Boston Auto Blog, and welcome back to Muzi Ford. We're checking out once again the 2024 Explorer, but this time we're comparing it to the 2019 Ford Explorer. Both are platinum trim, so it's going to be a very fair comparison, but I actually want to see what is the difference between the 2020 model year and last generation. Now the 2020 model year is the biggest and most technologically advanced Explorer, so we're going to see just how different they really are. I've already spent a few hours with both vehicles, so I can truly say that there is a major difference between the two. And well, this really isn't a very fair comparison because I feel like the 2019 model year is a bit outdated, but I think it makes for a great video to see just how good the 2020 Explorer really is. I'd like to thank Muzi Ford in Needham, Massachusetts for allowing me to do this video. Their link will be in the description below, so you can check out their extensive Ford inventory. And so, without wasting any further time, let's get right into this video. It goes without saying that for 2020, Ford did a complete overhaul for the Explorer. Built on a new platform, the Explorers arriving at dealerships as we speak are very different from the 2019 model year. While subtle styling changes to the front and rear fascias help distinguish between the two when parked side by side, it's the drivetrain that really sets the 2020 apart and is essentially the backbone to every improvement Ford made. With the new generation sitting on a rear-wheel drive based platform, everything from towing capacity, pound-feet of torque, size and dimensions, and interior cargo room have been upgraded to help make the Explorer more versatile, functional, and better for the driver. For the 2020 Platinum, a 3-liter EcoBoost V6 will power the Explorer, putting out 365 horsepower and 380 pound-feet of torque. If you're familiar with this midsize crossover, you know horsepower numbers haven't changed, but that extra 30 pound-feet of torque will go a long way. Last year, the Explorer was capable of towing 5,000 pounds, but now having a rear-wheel drive-based drivetrain, 5,600 pounds is the new benchmark, making this midsize crossover more capable than most front-wheel drive biased competitors. With a slight downgrade in engine size from the 3.5-liter V6 in last year's model, overall fuel economy has been improved slightly as well, going from a combined average of 19 miles per gallon to 21. The Explorer's dimensions and roofline also changed to appeal to the growing demand for sporty crossovers. The side profile is where a more aerodynamic shape becomes apparent, as the 2019 model year shares the same boxy characteristic of older generations before it. It's probably a cliche at this point, but the Explorer now sports a similar profile as the Range Rover Velar. With an additional 2 inches of length, drivers and passengers are going to notice a difference from last generation, as there's more room inside. But Ford also maximized the rear cargo space despite no difference in width. For 2020, all Ford Explorers are equipped with the power liftgate, which was available as an option for 2019 on the XLT trim with the 202A package. Taking a look at rear cargo room, the 2019 Platinum is equipped with power folding rear seats to make loading up the Explorer more convenient. On the left side, you'll find the 4 buttons where you can fold the seats individually, so you don't have to sacrifice both if you have a 5th passenger. Just by eyeing the rear cargo area, I feel there's much less room than the 2020. So let's go check out the new model year. Alright, so just like last generation, you do have power folding rear seats for the Platinum Edition, but in my opinion, I think the button layout is a lot better. So you just press the right one and the right fold. So if you have a passenger on the left side, you don't have to lose that seat, or I think is a great design. Then just press the left button and it goes down. But on the 2019 model year, you had a little dial that you could choose between left or right. To me, this is just easier. 3 buttons, you know exactly what to press. So just in terms of efficiency, I think this is a lot easier than last generation. And then when you're done, just press 1 button and they all fold together. Now let's talk about the door test here. Now this was not something I was planning on doing in this comparison, but when I got hands on the 2019 Platinum and compared to the 2020, there's a major difference here. Open and close. Now, very satisfying, a little more of a higher quality feel to it. Now, one thing that my grandfather instilled in me very young was that you focus on how the door shuts. If it shuts really nicely, you know it's high quality. Now, Now let's move over to the 2019 model year to see how different that is. So now we got the 2019 door over here, as you can tell with the chrome door handle. So let's open it up. Sounds really like a truck door. Now one thing I've noticed is that the 2020 Ford Explorer is all about being more of classy, a little more luxurious, a little more on the premium side of things. Now this is a platinum trim. I was expecting the door to sound just like the 2020, but it sounds like a truck. So one thing for me here, when I say this, is that for 2020, when it comes to the door and how it shuts, that's a little more satisfying. This theme of being more premium continues as we step inside. By now, we're familiar with the layout of the dashboard, center console, instrument cluster, and infotainment system found throughout older Ford models that we've reviewed in the past. Having spent a few hours with the 2020 Explorer, my perception of the 2019 and last generation changed, as ergonomics and interior comfort fell short of where Ford is at today. Now for the interior, I could probably go over every minor detail, but for second and third row passengers, they won't notice any significant changes. It's really up front where Ford made life easier for the driver and front passenger. While a new 10-inch touchscreen and 12.3-inch digital information display will draw a lot of interest, it's user-friendliness and button layout that stands out to me more than new technology. So let's first start out by getting inside the 2019 model year. Alright, so we are starting in the 2019 model year, and it is amazing to me how unfavorable I look at it now. Now, I have reviewed Ford Edges, Ford Escapes, I reviewed the Ford Explorer last year, Ford Fusion. I am so used to this interior, it's amazing to me how I don't really have a favorable opinion anymore. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the lack of digital information display or, you know, the no 10-inch touchscreen that looks like a tablet. It's actually user friendliness, it's comfort level. You know, it's still nice for, you know, in the used car market, but there is a stark difference from this to the 2020 model year. And let me start out with just the comfort level, and I feel like I'm a lot more cramped in here than the new model year. And a lot has to do with the fact that, and some people won't like this, the gear shift lever is here, and the new one has a rotary dial. In my opinion, because they got rid of the gear shift lever, there's so much more room for the center console. I feel so cramped here. It's weird because this is no shorter, or in terms of width, than the 2020 model year. In fact, they're the exact same size, and yet I see a complete difference. It's crazy to me. But also, when it comes to the layout of the dashboard for the buttons, to me, they're not as laid out as well. They're not all where I want them to be. It's a little more confusing. Also, what I've noticed too is that I have to reach more for these buttons. They're not in arm's reach as much. I had to actually move forward for this. Also, the push button start. Now, if you're familiar with 2019 Fords and older, the steering wheel blocks the push button start. So you have to look over to press the button. Where in the 2020 model year, which we'll check out in a few minutes, that's not the case. But I don't feel like everything's in arm's reach here, and I'm really feeling I'm not feeling as comfortable and as favorable as I have been with this car in the past. So you do have a storage compartment with a USB input for your smartphone and stuff like that. You do have a rotary dial for your different drive mode selectors, such as mud, you have sand mode, and you have snow, gravel, and grass along with your normal. But one thing I do notice is that it's a longer process shifting into different drive modes. So I never noticed that before, but I notice it now that it's actually, you have to wait a few seconds for it to change modes. So yeah, that's rather interesting. And then of course you have a very sizable center storage compartment, which isn't too bad. You don't have, you do have a 12-volt outlet, which is pretty good. But I do feel overall that inside, especially up front, there's a lot more room in the newer one, despite the fact that it's really not much wider. So we are back in the 2020 Explorer. Now, if you want to see my full review of this car, you can check out the video, and the link will be in the description below. Now, I want to talk about what I noticed, what's different. And it's all about comfort to me. I don't really necessarily care about the 12-inch digital information display or the 10-inch touchpad. To me, it's all about the maximization of size. What Ford did is that they maximized the size here. I have a lot more leg room, I have a lot more arm room, I should say. And because they got rid of the gear shift lever, which I know people aren't happy about, there's a lot more room as well for storage. You have that front storage compartment, which you can fit like 2, 3, maybe 4 smartphones. You have a USB input and 12-volt outlet. You have a wireless phone charging pad. You have more room for the center storage compartment. But best of all, though, I have more arm room, which is just extremely comfortable. It's so much more comfortable in this vehicle. But also, when it comes to the center console and the dashboard, all the buttons are in the places that you want them to be. They're laid out perfectly. They're within arm's reach, most importantly. The push button start is right on the dashboard. You can see it when you get inside. It's not hiding behind the steering wheel, which was something that, looking back on it, is a major inconvenience because you have to look around to find it, where it's just right there. But also having the camera systems. Now, 360-degree overview camera. That is available on the limited trim and above. And I just think it's a necessity. You have to have this on an Explorer, especially a vehicle of this size. As I said in my review, this vehicle is about the size of the first generation Expedition. So it's not a small crossover in any way, shape, or form. However, the changes that were made were for the driver and for the front front passenger. It's really just about driving experience and making things a lot easier for them, including the safety and really having that extra camera, 360 overview camera, to me is huge, especially where if you're going to park this vehicle in tight spots, you're going to need that. That to me is just the most important thing. But to have the safety and you know, the enhanced technology that you can find in here is really a plus from last generation. Now, also talking about the usability and functionality about this car. For the rear passengers, now we're not going to go in the back here because there's really not much of a difference. However, there is a platform where you can put your cups and your drinks on the floor. Now, Ford designed it where you can actually just step on that. So kids can step on that, it's not going to get damaged. And to me, I think Ford really focused on the owners of an Explorer. Where, you know, think about it, if you own a 2018 Explorer, maybe it's not as usable, maybe it's not as friendly when it comes to having kids inside, where they really changed that up for 2020. And to have that, you know, that spot where people can just walk over it, the cup holders there, I think that works. It totally works. And then, you know, have the extra 2 inches of cargo room in the back. It's all about functionality and usability and practicality. And Ford really focused on that. And I know that we'll get caught up in the horsepower numbers and the Explorer ST. But when it comes to just usability and daily driving purposes for somebody who doesn't want an ST, and maybe even not even want a Platinum, just the fact that this seems to be more laid out a lot better, it's more user-friendly, driver-friendly, to me will go a long way. And it's one of the reasons why, if I was in the market for an Explorer, I'd definitely try getting into a 2020 model year. So guys, thank you so much for watching this comparison. Really wasn't much of a comparison. It was more of, let's look at what the 2019 doesn't have compared to the 2020 model year, and focusing on why you should buy a 2020 over the older and last generation. But overall, I just think that what Ford is doing here, they're moving in the right direction. I cannot wait to see what the Escape is going to be like. Looking at the layout, it's the exact same thing. To me, Ford is just making the right moves here, focusing more on customer loyalty, focusing on what Ford owners want. That's what I noticed with this car, especially even with the exterior. I thought the exterior looked a lot different than last generation, and then parking a 2019 to the 2020, there's not much of a difference. I mean, you still notice the differences, but you can still tell it's a Ford Explorer. So to me, what Ford has done is make things a lot better for the driver, not so much for the passengers in the back. They won't notice much of a difference, but at least up front for the driver, the most important person, I should say, the owner of the vehicle, will notice a lot more difference. The 12-inch digital information display, to me, is great, on par with Honda and Toyota. So again, I'm really excited for what Ford has in store here. I like what they've done to this vehicle, and I'm very impressed overall, especially when you're sitting in an older generation and you compare it to this. This just seems more user-friendly and more focused on the loyal Ford owner. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe for more. And I'll see you guys next time.